Hey guys, Alan Dale here. Just going to take you through some of the gear I'm using on the UK tour of the Bodyguard musical. Yeah, so I'll start off with the where I live effectively for the tour. This every time you do a musical of some kind, you'll be in a sort of soundproof box, and this is a particularly good soundproof box. This one, it's large and it's got room to sort of move around in. Some of them are a bit smaller. This is a good one. Anyway, you'll see it's quite a big kit setup for this. That helps with the fact there's a load of different styles in this show, from sort of some thrashy, sort of heavy hitting stuff to some ballads and some brushwork. What's interesting about this gig is I normally use Mapex drums. Big shout out to Martin Potts and Paul Warsop and all the guys at Korg. But on this gig the kit's been provided, so it's not my regular setup. Sometimes that'll happen if you're lucky, and then you don't have to damage your own gear, which is nice. But yeah, we've got an 8, a 10, a 12 and a 16, 22-inch kick, 14 and a 12-inch snare, just a bit more high pitch for some poppy stuff. Just a middle range, sort of bog standard snare tuning for just covering a lot of different styles, because in this gig there are quite a lot of different styles. There are some thrashy stuff, there's a bit of brushes, there's some sort of power ballads and so on. Cymbals wise, hats, a couple of splashes, a couple of crashes, ride cymbal and a china. Again, I use all of this stuff during the gig, and most of it's quite specifically used. None of it's just for my own sort of pleasure. It's, you know, I use it exactly for moments, for effects and stuff. Over in this corner, we've got some percussion stuff. We've got some chimes, we've got some finger cymbal, we've got some pin chimes, got a bit of a shaker, which I'm embarrassingly bad at. And this bad boy here, a spring drum, which is gives you kind of the old nice spooky wind effect. And a SBDS X here, that's used a couple of times in the show for just some finger clicks and some claps and just bits to add to the tunes. And then over here, my music. So that's the gear and the drum box, and this is what I'm hitting tonight. I would say the biggest secret to working in a theatre environment has been ready to play any style of music. My own background is basically started off as kind of a rock guy, metalhead. Went through the kind of jazz world, just gigging through Glasgow, Edinburgh, all over the country, doing various different bands, soul bands and function bands, and and literally playing every style I could. That came in really useful when I sort of started doing more theatre work, because literally you would turn up and you have them dots, and in those dots you're going to see power ballads. There's a sort of poppy salsa thing in this, and you've got to be ready to get all that stuff, and you have to be able to do it quite quickly. Like, you get 1 or 2 days rehearsal and that show you're off. You need to kind of know, certainly I would say you need to know your styles, and fundamentally be able to play with and without a click track and keep good time. And not just good time, but a decent feel as well. So my advice to do that would be just listen to as much music as you can. And I think for me, I didn't learn skills for the pit. My skills took me towards that side. So over the years, having done loads of different gigs and styles, and and loads of recordings and everything, and working with click tracks in the studio and live and sequencers and loads of different types and styles of players, etc, etc. When I moved more towards the pit, it meant I was kind of basically ready. But going on from here, again, if I get a call to do a gig, I'm ready to sort of basically play anything from, as I say, from double kick to to bebop and Latin and beyond. It's certainly taken me some interest in countries and cities. It comes with the nature of the job, and that's another thing you've got to be ready to do. Get that passport ready, because you never know when the call's going to come. I used to teach at the Strathclyde Bachelor Applied music course. Some of the guys that come through there were Fraser West, who's now with Skerrivo, and Johnny Scott, who plays with Churches. Most of the guys I've taught, I think, have actually gone on to do really well for themselves in various different formats, including I taught at one time a very young Stephen Henderson, for those who might know Stephen, who's playing like a monster at the minute. And interestingly, for all those guys who go into drummers only, I first met Chris Whitehouse when I turned up to his house in Irvine and gave him drum lessons back in, crikey, he must have been about 15 in those days. I would say the biggest thing is simply to be ready, whether that's technically, get a bit of experience just doing regular gigs, etc, etc. Get your styles together, have your, know what you're going to try and do. And a very important thing is to have really good gear, or the best gear you can afford. So get yourself down to drummers only, buy good stuff, right?